Hello and welcome to Tarot with Tanya. This is 7 cards for 7 days, and we are looking at the week of Monday, June 24th to Sunday, June 30th. And during that week, we'll have the moon in Aquarius on that Monday, and then by Sunday, we have moon in Taurus. And so we're going from the humanitarian moon, power to the people, out there ideas, to something much more grounded and earthy and practical. So take whatever resonates for you and leave the rest behind. It's a general reading. I will be first talking about a few of the aspects astrologically this week, and then I'll do the cards, and I am using the Wildwood deck, and then we'll end with a Tree Keeper's Oracle card. So thank you so much for coming. Welcome back if you've been here before, and if you're new, welcome for the first time. So for our week, besides where the moon will be, on Wednesday the 26th, we have Mercury trining Saturn, and trines feel good. They're nice energies. So it's a good day to map your progress, work towards your goals. You can get useful information. We have a certain discipline, that's that Saturn piece, and structure that can really help us, and Mercury's that communication part. Then on Friday the 28th, and this is our last week of June obviously, we have Venus sextile Mars, and sextiles are also much easier, more comfortable energies. And this one, because Venus is the archetypal feminine and Mars is the archetypal masculine, we have a wonderful balance between those two energies. Again, it doesn't have to be people, just those energies. So it's really good for a date. It's good for decorating our homes. It's any kind of beauty treatments, things like that. So the Mars brings in some energy, and the Venus, the beauty, and so forth. Then on Saturday, we have Mercury sextiling Uranus. So it's not that it's a difficult one, but the Uranus, whenever it's involved, can bring in eccentric behaviors, eccentric people. And in this case, it might be people from our past showing up again. We might have futuristic ideas, unusual ones, things like that. So again, Mercury with the communication, and Uranus rules Aquarius with the way out ideas, electronics, things like that. But it should flow pretty well. The bigger thing, I think, on that day is that Saturn is turning retrograde, and this highlights our relationships with authority, who and what is trustworthy, and this is going on for a few months. So, I mean, here in the United States, it seems very timely. We're looking at how supportive are our external structures. Do we need to make changes there? Do we need to strengthen? I mean, just as an example, even in my own home, you might notice there's a different background today, just because I'm switching things up to take those structures I already have and make them more supportive in my own life. So, it can be that kind of energy. And in general, the encouragement is to rely on our inner resources and just to stand in our personal power. So to be discerning, to use that good judgment that can come with Saturn, and to be, disciplined in terms of what we do with our choices. All right. So as I said, we are using the Wildwood cards today, and we only have one major, which I believe was the case last maybe a couple of weeks. So we kind of went from a lot of them to very few of them. So what I see more this week is, well, frankly, a lot of arrows. And the arrows in the Wildwood are about mental energy, so you would usually know them as swords. And I'll get to that in a moment, but that is the dominant energy for the week. The one major is extremely feminine. That's the moon. I think this is just a beautiful depiction of it. The moon, the light, the reflection on the water, the creatures highlighted, the earthy sort of horned creature here, and then these birds that are taking flight too. So the moon is mystery. It's, as I said, the deep feminine. It could encourage us to dive in and not necessarily, I don't even want to use the word examine, but allow things to come to the surface in that more feminine process. Just allow them to bubble up, see what's there, reflect. You don't have to take any action. Just, enjoy that deep feminine energy. We just had a full moon, which I believe I forgot to mention last week, but we did just have this full moon in Capricorn, which is an earth sign, so there's a feminine energy there too. So yeah, use it in a way that works for you, but I would not try to push anything, but more allow things. And, perhaps from that introspection and allowing, we get movement. And this is the first of those arrows that I mentioned, and this is the 6. Now, 6s are connected to the lovers, and I tend to think of them as fairly easy energies in terms of the numerology. And, this one is subtitled Transition, and you see this wonderful swan boat here. Again, there's that full moon, right? That same full moon that we just saw. So it's almost like it's propelling us into new thoughts over new waters, perhaps leaving troubled waters for calmer waters, but some kind of a transition, maybe just in the way we think. And by Wednesday, we're in a masculine energy still because it's the wands, or here they call it the bows. And I mean, it looks like celebration, right? People lifting their feet and dance. We have this wonderful sort of bonfire energy going on, people smiling. Well, when I say people, in this case, it's all women. And frequently women are on this card. Sometimes you'll see couples, but a lot of times it will be women. And it's I think letting go and celebrating and just taking a moment to allow that to happen. So it could be, again, we get some deep insights on Monday. Tuesday, there's some kind of transition. Wednesday, we feel like celebrating that. And 4s are very stable numbers. They're connected to the Emperor, to Earth. That's the Earth number. And then by the time we get to Thursday, it's a little bit more challenging energy with the 7 of arrows. Again, what you probably know as swords. And this one is subtitled Insecurity. So, the Thoth deck is often a touchstone for me, probably because it was one of the first ones I started reading with. But also I think it's a wonderful deck full of knowledge and great symbolism and so forth. And in that card, or that deck rather, with this card, you see one central sword and lots of other ones sort of poking at it. So it can be an insecurity over, I don't know what's the best choice for me right now. Got to remember that it is mental, so it's in our minds. And here, of course, it's very dramatic with this female sort of green woman almost figure and all the arrows stabbing her, and she's very dramatic with the arm lifted and so forth. But generally, it can come down to, this is what I really want, maybe secretly, and do I feel like I have the wherewithal to get that, the resources, and to let go of the stuff, to let go of the excuses and go for it. We stay in that mental energy with the arrows, and both Friday and Saturday. This is the really tough one. Every deck I've seen, every deck I've used, shows a pretty tough image around this energy. And this one is called jealousy. I don't think it has to be that kind of energy. This 3 is connected to the Empress, so a sort of dark side of that can be a kind of possessiveness. So maybe that's, driving some of the jealousy here. It can refer to the original two-parent-child relationship, or any relationship that might involve three people, or some sort of insecurity around that, and are carrying an old wound. So we're getting closer to that day of Saturn retrograding, so it might be good to sort of look at what might be an old wound and try releasing that and bolstering up your own inner resources with that. By Saturday, it's the next arrow, which is 4. So we went from 3 to the 4. This one looks a little bit rough just because of where the arrows are placed, but they're not piercing the skin anywhere here. And of course we have this lovely butterfly, very exaggerated in its size, floating above the person who's on the ground, and the card is subtitled Rest. So this makes 2 4s for the week. So there's a celebration on Wednesday, and then by Friday, a need for rest. Could be from your work week, could be from thoughts that came up, new changes, but just letting things settle. Great time for meditation. So that was our Saturday. And then our last card of our 7 for the week is the 7 of Stones. And then this one is subtitled Healing. There's a little bit of similarity in terms of, the male figure stretched out on the ground. The other one was face down for the resting. This one is face up for the healing. And this is definitely a green woman figure here who looks to be in that cross-legged meditation, allowing the energy of the sun perhaps to come through her and into the heart. Maybe a warrior here, because you do see a spear across the body. And this is a stones energy, which is an earth energy. So it's much more grounded. Sometimes you'll see this one as a sort of harvesting, a kind of counting of the resources, or reflecting on the resources, taking stock. But this one seems to be more internal and taking stock of what our inner resources are in this almost stone circle. Well, it is a stone circle, but not obviously not large like Stonehenge, but that sort of idea where we're concentrating energies down on a particular figure here. All right, so that's the week. Again, the 1 major. So 1s do usually signify a new start, something changing, a fresh perspective, and then a lot of mental movement. So our thoughts, what is going on with us in terms of the quality of our thoughts, and are we using them in ways that can help us go forward? A little time to celebrate, a little time to rest, and then healing at the very end of it. So for our Tree Keepers Oracle card, what came up was Keeper of the Game, number 38. I know there's a lot of glare there. What you see is this wonderful sort of game board. It's hard to see. And then fairy-like figures, animals, and so forth, woodland creatures, all around this game that's being played. So let's see what it says. So many of us sweep our discomforts under the rug where they'll be less threatening, less likely to disrupt our state of comfort. But playing the game of life requires you to know when to confront as well as to retreat. This moment challenges you to stand in your power and confront what seems overwhelming, intimidating, or downright scary. Crisis is a companion of opportunity, so look beyond the surface for the opportunity calling you out of your comfort zone. As Rilke, and you may or may not know, I would expect you not to, Rilke was a German-speaking poet, very romantic, early 20th century, brilliant, brilliant poet. As he said, perhaps all the dragons in our lives are princesses who are only waiting to see us act just once with beauty and courage. Perhaps everything that frightens us is, in its deepest essence, something helpless that wants our love. And that can be just as internal as external. And again, I feel like this card really, they always do, but this one really fits with the Saturn, trusting our own power, our own sense of discipline, our structures, perhaps changing some of those structures during the week to be more supportive of who we are, what we're here to do. Moon energy to help us tap into that knowing, just by allowing it again to percolate up. So, beloveds, I'm wishing you the best week possible. Again, thank you so much for being here. And if I can help you with the personal reading, and that's where we look at what might be coming up for you, we can look at past things, we can look at past lives, your guidance, what's coming up, and so forth. So, have the best week possible, and I'll see you in 7 days.